What's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3CR, and welcome to another episode of People's Questions, where I answer all the questions that you guys have sent me over the past week. We got a pretty standard episode with really no newbies. Everyone was a regular. And I will say that there were a few questions that were sent to me in the last comment section that I thought were just a little bit I didn't think they had enough detail to be warranted to be adding into the video, and so they were like pretty easy to answer. So if you know you sent in a question, be sure to click the comment section of the last video, because chances are I answered them there. But starting off with the first question, coming from Nohan Love, I hope I said that right, and you want to know, Batman from Batman Arkham Knight or Spiderman from PlayStation 4, who would win? Okay, this question has been asked so many times, but Spider-Man would win. I mean, it's been debated so many times, but even in the respected game, I just don't see a way Batman would be able to deal with this. I mean, as long as Spider-Man has a spider sense and he's significantly stronger, faster, has better reflexes, and he's a genius. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bruce Wayne is, he's a tactical genius, but I would say that Peter Parker is more of a genius, and his gadgets are even more effective than anything Batman has in his arsenal. So, in almost any interpretation that you can throw at each other, 10 out of 10 times, Spider-Man will ultimately come out as the winner, and I think that's true even now. So yeah, I would say Spider-Man would definitely take down Arkham Knight Batman. Next question comes from Young Y. You want to know, do I think a video game universe or Marvel video games would be great? No, I don't think. I mean, didn't they already do that with like Marvel Ultimate Alliance or something like that? I mean, isn't that kind of what the whole thing is? But if you're talking about doing something like what they've done in the films, but with video games, I don't know. I just don't think they're that ambitious, or that they can come up with that many good games in such a short amount of time. So, no, I just don't think it's worth the time or effort. The next question comes from the Batman of Neo Gotham. You want to know, do I believe we will see any more of Jake Muller in any future Resident Evil games? And if so, what would I want them to do with the character in terms of skills, character development, and experience? Do I think we will see Jake Muller again? I don't know. I would hope to see him again, but if he does come back, I'd, just have him fight some more monsters. Skill-wise, I guess have him, I don't know, maybe learn some abilities that Wesker did, like that whole speed thing, and maybe do some special grabs, or just find interesting new special attacks that he could do with his special enhancements that he has. And character development, I don't know, I guess, I don't know, have him do something that makes him maybe try to clean up his father's mess. Like maybe someone tried to like continue Wesker's work, and Jake decides that he wants to kind of like prevent it from being a reality, so he cleans up his father's mess. So like, I mean, that's the only thing that I can think about. But again, we don't even know if he'll ever be back. I mean, with this new direction that Capcom's taken, we might never see these type of characters ever again, which, would really upset me. Next question comes from Virgil the Son of Sparta. And you wanted to know, who do I think is more capable or stronger? I'm missing something. I don't know. I must have. Okay, I apologize. I'll answer this in the comments. This is probably a mess up on my part, because I must have missed the character, so I apologize. I'll be sure to answer that in the comment section. But going to the next question, V-Blader1, you want to know, in my opinion, okay, what is my opinion on Sora as a combatant? Okay, I know where this is going. Sora will never be used in a versus series matchup. In my opinion, I can sum up Sora to like this. There's no point in breaking his character down as a combatant, because, for this simple reason, I have openly talked about Sephiroth as being the greatest swordsman in the Final Fantasy franchise. He's probably one of the greatest swordsmen I've ever seen in video games, in terms of just his canon appearance. And his Kingdom Hearts interpretation is 10 times more dangerous than his canon appearance ever was. And when you have a character like Sora, that at the age of 11 was able to slap around Sephiroth like he was nothing, and beat him on 2 occasions in a way that Cloud could never even dream of doing, anyone who could take down that version of Sephiroth that easy, in my opinion, is virtually unstoppable. There are even some final level bosses in Final Fantasy I don't think could beat Sora. Sora is simply that immensely powerful. He doesn't seem that powerful in his own world of Kingdom Hearts, but you take him out of Kingdom Hearts and put him in any of these other franchises, he would totally kill and dominate everyone. There are several franchises I think he would be even too powerful to be even put in. So, Sora as a combatant is simply way too powerful. He is simply OP in my opinion. Especially when you take him outside of Kingdom Hearts. So, that's my opinion of him. Next question comes from Harshly Critical. And he wants to know, what is the best moment of my life? Me getting beaten up at the beginning of the 2nd grade, because that's how I met Antoine. And we've been together for well over 25 years. And to the point where I don't even feel comfortable calling him my friend. And I've openly, even to this day, and some of you guys know, I've always referred to him as a brother. He is more of a brother to me than my blood siblings have ever been my entire life. So, had I not been beaten up at the beginning of the 2nd grade, I never would have met him, because what ended up happening was he was a 1st grader and I was a 2nd grader, and when he was getting picked on by some 3rd graders, and when I tried to step in and help him out, I just ended up getting beaten up too. And when I came around, we were both in the nurse's office, and the rest is history. So I would say that that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Next question comes from blacklady, and just so you guys, because you know the sun's going down, that's why it probably got a little bit darker. You want to know, do I think that death is the same state as when we are before we're ever born? Probably, I don't think so, because even though we aren't born yet, we're still growing. Like, in like that 9-month period, we're still developing, even though we're not officially born yet. So, like, we have a heart, we have a brain, we have working organs, even though we're not born yet. When you die, that all kind of stops, and instead of being in a state of growing, you enter a state of decay, and so your body is breaking down, and so you're decreasing. So no, I think that dying is not the same thing as being before you were born. And the last question of the episode comes from JBat, and you want to know, do I think that a light whip will ever be seen in a Star Wars movie? I don't think so, but if we ever did see a light whip in a Star Wars movie, I think that'd be pretty interesting, because it's a weapon that I think maybe not every Star Wars fan knows, but I think people who are well aware of the EU, it's a familiar weapon, and I think visually that would be something pretty interesting to see in a Star Wars film. But I think like the closest thing we've had to something like that was like whips that we saw in Iron Man 2. That's pretty much the equivalent of a light whip. So I don't know if Disney were interested in using a light whip. Well, they already have an example of what they could use, so I mean, I would like to see it. I think it would just change up the pace of a type of fight that we'd see in a Star Wars film, but heck, that's just my thoughts. And with that, that is the end of this episode of People's Questions. I'd like to thank the number of you for sending your questions in. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure you get them in to me before next Wednesday, roughly around noon, we'll start filming the next episode. And if you want to just give you a little bit of a bit of advice moving forward, if you want to increase your odds of having your question answered, have it be something that takes a bit more thinking than just a simple yes or no. That definitely will increase your odds of seeing your question answered in the next video. So with that said, I'd like to thank all of you guys who are watching this, and I'll see you next time.